podcast, chit-chatting, discussing about the AI world in general and AI for product folks especially. So I'll leave it up to you, Mahesh, and you can start the framework.
No, thank you. I can just get started quickly. Just a quick my introduction to Middle East and the AI things happening there. So, I was like I think I was at Facebook and just joined AWS, and I started this cohort. This was my first teaching cohort publicly. I did courses inside Meta and uh, Microsoft before, but never like in public. There was this channel called PM Exercises. There's a guy named Bijan. He reached out. We started the first cohort. Just ChatGPT was released. This is 2022, November. First cohort, first person, Rashmi joined from Dubai, and she was like looking to get into AI, and she moved into Core 42. And there I came to know that they were like building LLMs from scratch. They were just too much, like they were even ahead of the game at that time. And I was like, okay, this is Middle East. And that's since then I'm following all the development in Middle East. And I've seen like they are like trying to stay ahead of the curve. So that's very exciting. I was in UK last week, and I'm doing comparative analysis in my head. I'm really spellbounded by how fast Middle East is moving in AI. So happy when folks from Ahmad and team gave us this opportunity to come and talk. I was like, yay, finally, can I add something to this community? So I'm super excited, super pumped. And my goal is to take first 15 minutes to walk you quickly. These things, I have done a big session, like 1 hour session, but I thought I will summarize it. That will set the context for our talk today, but at least give all of you a quick understanding of what it is, where I'm coming from, and what we can do together. So just give me 1 second. I'm trying to see if I can share my screen again. Yeah. Here we are. I think we are good. Awesome. So let me just quickly talk about these things and then you will know. Okay. I like to see people. So just put your camera on. If you have questions, we will take questions from Ahmed first and then maybe take your questions. But before we go, let's just quickly understand where we are. So this is value and time graph. I know product managers like graphs, so I put it up. 2022, we kind of first time thought that anybody can use AI. Before that, AI was there, but very good in recommendation systems. So we can target ads to you and give you all the ads, or big, large companies like financial institutes or banks were using their data to do prediction-based AI. But in 2022, first time we built a model or a large language model, which could answer your questions and answer your questions of any kind, which was very novel. And when it answered the question, you could interact with it. It improvised. And when it did that, it was such a powerful proposition that all of us were ready to take their data to ChatGPT or Claude at that time, or Bard, which nobody tried, but I hope so. But you had zero control and there was no grounding to data. That's what we fixed next year. You saw Copilot, because incumbents in this world is Google, Microsoft, Meta, and all three released some version of their Copilots where they said you need not to go to them. You can stay in your apps. And you saw apps like Copilot Studio, Copilot in Microsoft Office. You saw Gemini in your workspace. And you saw more and more integration with big players like Intuit in US started releasing some of the AI features at that time. RAG became a thing. RAG is retrieval augmented generation. So people said, how can we let you use your data with this model? Because the model knows the world, but doesn't know your data. That became a big deal in 2023. You saw Amazon Q, Microsoft Copilot, and a lot of connectors. Imagine like this time there is this LangChain was a thing, and LangChain is a framework which allows you to connect and build LLM specific apps. And one key thing they offered is connections. So they said, oh, you want to read from your Gmail, you want to store in your this storage. This is one API call, and LangChain become the dominating framework, at least to do prototyping. So that's what we spent 2024. We said, you know what? We want these agents to actually perform actions. We want them to change the state of the world. And we said, okay, then here is tools. We started seeing function calling in ChatGPT. Uh, all the agents, I was building agents for Bedrock, and we introduced tools. Before them, there was a session I had in 2023, November, where people asked me, what is the future? I said, it will be function calling to actually performing actions. And next year, everything was tools. And now you can actually change the state of the world. This unlocked us to use these agents not just for Q&A, but doing workflows. So now we can actually automate things. We can add half automate or take some part away, and we can actually change things, not only answer things. So now we understand your context, and we can change things. Okay, if we can do all that, then what's 2025 is about? This year, we are saying, can we do complex things? Can we actually reason? Can we come up with plans and perform tasks end to end by doing multiple iteration, checking our work, and then trying again and again till we achieve things? This is where you're seeing a focus on reasoning. Can I reason? Can models reason? When we reason, can we share it with the user? Can user edit that reasoning? So that's the world we are in. I wanted to just lay it down. And obviously, you want to know what is 2026 looks like. Hopefully, we can touch upon that next. Key building blocks. So if we are building multi-agents in 2025, what it takes to build them. One is this idea of orchestration, which is creating a plan, which is like, okay, if you tell me a task, which is, okay, Mahesh, here's a contract I will give you. Tell me all the risk in it. Can I do a planning for it? Okay, first I need to convert the contract from PDF to text. Then I have to extract key terms. Then I have to find what are the right values of a contract, market values for something like a liability, insurance, net payment terms that I should accept as a company, market values of those, and then compare them to find risk. So if you can come up with that, then you create focus. Then you have tools to call different things like do search, guardrails. You can cooperate between these tools, and you have memory, which stores what you have already interacted with the agents. This is how it works. You assign a job. Some agent, orchestration agent says, okay, here is a plan. Is the job done? If not done, then it calls the right agent, or it can also call human in loop or humans to get input sometimes, because as you all know that models are not perfect and you might need a human. And these agents also have their own focus, their roles, their own context, tools, and they do the work and they submit it in the memory. The orchestrator agent reads that memory and says, hey, is the job done? If done, hey, is it following our guardrails or checks? Does it passes all of them? If not, it sends it back. If it does, then it sends it back to the user that, hey, here is your answer. This is a very simple way how behind the scenes ChatGPT or any complex agent is working, that they have a lot of planning going on. They have various tools. They have various agents calling those tools, and they have a coordination systems between orchestration and memory to make them happen. So this is a simple representation of a multi-agent framework in action. Okay, by the way, I'm Mahesh. If you don't know me, that's my LinkedIn. I know Ahmed just wanted me to introduce myself. I have built agents at Google. I built the first multi-agent system at Google and released it last year. Before that, I built a platform to allow people to build agents at AWS. Before that, I worked at Facebook, where I figured out how to train large models like of GPTs, and actually train a model called OPT and build a framework in PyTorch, which allows other companies to train on clusters rather than single machines. We called it PyTorch distributed. And before that, I worked as an engineer most of my first 15 years of good 14 years of my career. 8 of that was at Microsoft, and I worked at other companies as well. I founded a nonprofit, and now I have a full-on for-profit company where I'm trying to go and see how can we automate back office, starting with legal. What is the difference between an agentic and normal product management? Key differences: we're dealing with unstructured data, we're dealing with complex decision making, and we are dealing with areas where there are evolving rule set. There is not single set where we can predict things. These are evolving fast. If you don't have two of these in your things, do not use AI. There are other ways. You can use predictive AI or you can use normal rule-based systems to build. But if you have all three, use Gen AI or agentic AI because they are really tailored or they are designed to solve these three problems. What are the core responsibilities? Okay, if you're going to solve them, what are you going to do as a product manager? First, you're going to identify these problems or tell people that this is not an AI problem, go away. Then you're going to break it down and create a roadmap. This is where you're going to prioritize things, divide them into what are the tangible sub-agents or sub-parts of it, and then create a roadmap that can be released the bare minimum thing that customer will pay for. You will evaluate, you will do a lot of evaluations. Evaluation is a thing where you say, if this is the answer a human would have given, this is the answer my agents are giving, how close are they, how many times I'm deviating from them, how many times I'm meeting the expectation or exceeding the expectation, and you run this loop many times. Then you are also making sure that you're bringing safety, you're complying to AI laws, you're bringing transparency and fairness in your systems. And then obviously you're trying to make money. That's on the top of mind for all of us and the companies which hire us. Uh, so today's agenda, we will just skip. It's simple. I will walk through all these 4 steps and give you my nuggets. I'm not going to talk about the detail. That's what I teach in the course. But at least I will give you, I thought maybe in next 5 or 10 minutes, I will tell you the secrets. So every field across these 4 steps, there is conventional wisdom and there are people who are hallucinating. In between, there are secrets that I have learned by building these things or enabling a lot of people building these things. So I thought maybe I will talk about these 4 things and give you like 3 secrets in each. So at least if you take away one thing, that there are 4 things here to build AI products. And if I share secrets which we have discovered, then you can double click on them and build your career from there. Would be a great investment for next 10 minutes. And then all of you can go and me and Ahmed can talk to each other. That's the plan. I like to take examples. For this, I will be taking an example of a contract risk analysis. This is what we do in the course also. So imagine you are a problem we are solving is contracts are everywhere around us. All of us have signed contracts, but none of us reads them. By the way, every time you go to a website and logs into you, first time log into it, there is terms and condition, there is EULA, you sign for that website. And sometimes what I have read, there was this website which was for UX mocks. And every time you entered that website, you signed till perpetuity their right to use your name and the company you worked for name for their marketing for perpetuity. That means for lifetime. So I assigned myself and Google just to see this UX mocks thing, how it works. So, but I never read it. Same, small companies, small businesses do the same mistake. They sign things, and I know a couple of founders who I met in my journey who signed things, never understood, and eventually ended sued by companies for a high liability, which they signed, but they didn't know that they signed that liability. Even large enterprise face this problem. I face this problem at AWS. So all I'm saying is contracts is a big deal, and understanding them, even without lawyers, is impossible. We can't do that. With a small law team, you will face issues. Even with large teams, because it's such a redundant job, people will make a lot of mistakes and will not look at all the areas. So how can we solve it with agents? Because it's unstructured data, it's rule, it doesn't fit into rule, and there is a lot of complexities or rules are evolving. So same things. Do we have if you're looking for AI problems, do you have unstructured data? Do you have complex decision making? Is it a risk or not in a contract? You have to explain in your problem statement why OpenAI or Copilot can't do it. So if you're going to solve this problem, I want to see in your problem statement why out of box OpenAI or even a Copilot, which you can run using their models with your data, is not solving that problem. And last, today in 2025, a lot of AI enabled SaaS services. So existing contract providers like Contract Pod or Ironclad, these are people who solve this problem in pre-AI world. Why are their new AI feature not solving this problem? So these are the secrets. If you have in your problem statement these, I would love to read more. And this will be a good checklist for you. Okay. If you nailed the problem down, then what's the solutions? The solutions are you handling the drawbacks of AI today? What are the key drawbacks of AI today? It doesn't give responses all the time correctly. It's really hard for it to repeat its responses. It's really hard for it to explain what it has done. How are you covering these three in your solution? I want to read that. If it is not there, your answers are not good if you're interviewing. If you're writing a PRD, then it's not a good solution statement. So please make sure it's there. Second, tell me, how are you different? Are you doing something different in context? Are you doing something different in getting the feedback and in deploying that feedback? Is your UX different? What's that? What's that two or three things that makes your solution stand out compared to a lot of crowd or hype there today? And can you have a long roadmap? By which I mean is that in your solution space, do not build things which OpenAI will release next week, and then your solution is not useful. So every 3 months, what we have seen in agentic AI or AI is that LLM providers release something, and that makes a lot of things obsolete. So choose problems or show me in your solution what is your roadmap looks like. For contract example, I can say, hey, first you can do Q&A. 2023, if I can upload a PDF and you can do question answers, that's a novel thing. Great. But 2024, you can do it in ChatGPT. Okay. Then I want to do risk assessments. Maybe 2025, you can also see all the risks in a right format, always repeated, learning into, then I can say, okay, then I can do due diligence, which is looking at 100 of contracts and finding out if there are any gaps. So you see, I'm creating a long roadmap, and every time the model capability increase or this floor of AI increases, I can increase the ceiling of what the capabilities are. So I want to see that in your solution, a roadmap where you have shown me as these capabilities increase in AI, you are adding new things which are not even possible for humanity today. And if you are going towards that, that's what we are looking in your solution. So follow these three secrets for problem and solution, and you will be golden. Two more, and then we will open for Q&A. So step two, okay, you have created your solution. You have a problem, you have thought through a solution, and hopefully this solution can stand the test of time. Then you have to identify your solution. You have to double click on your solution and give me a roadmap. And in that roadmap, I want to see different components. In our contract example, I want to see a component which is extracting what are the clauses or key terms. What is the market value of risks? What is the right values? That research agent or that playbook. And then I want to see a comparison agent. Then I wanted to see a ranking agent, because maybe you will get hundreds of risks. How are you going to rank them? So those are the ones that you need to break it down. Then I want to see how are you putting your highest, riskiest bet upfront so that we can validate, invalidate in the beginning and not waste the company 2 years to figure out this is not even the right problem. That problem is right, solution is right, but AI is not ready. How can you do that first is another secret here. And you have to narrow the scope. You cannot just say, we're going to release this risk analysis agent or due diligence agent in contracts in next 3 months. Doesn't work. Say, I'm only going to do it for master service agreements. In the first release, we are going to just extract key terms. And who will use it? Merger and acquisition teams, which extract this for compliance, will use this. We're not doing any risk. We are not doing anything else. We're just doing this small thing. And this is a customer which will pay for us. That's your roadmap. P0 is that. And then you can build on it. P1, we will start doing risk for MSAs. P2, we will start doing for NDA. P3, we can do for all kind of contracts, 10 contracts, leasing agreements, employment agreements, shareholder agreements. You can add all that later. So now you are giving your engineering a very restricted, a very closed domain and giving value to business by succeeding there. So that's what I want to see next. And after that, step 3, you will be evaluating it. So now you have created this, I'm going to do key terms extraction in a contract only for master service agreements. Key terms, what are the values of net terms? What is the liability? What is the insurance? What is the indemnification? These are the key terms and you will extract their values. But are you going to evaluate it? Because in AI, another secret is it can work for 5 contracts, but making it work for 50 contracts or 500 contracts will require you 100x more effort. Generalizing these solutions is very hard. And that's where evaluation comes in. And that's why we are saying evaluate, evaluate, evaluate. I'm not going to double click on how to today, but hopefully you can watch our other lessons on YouTube to learn that. By the way, you can leave in AI, you cannot leave evaluation to engineers. That's another secret. Engineers set their own evaluation is a recipe to disaster because they don't know what to evaluate. They don't have subject matter expertise. They do not have a right insights of the customer. So they're going to set some engineering evaluations, set the bar maybe either too low or too high, either set you to succeed or imagine, give you something that think it works for 5 contracts and you will fail and lose a lot of reputation, or set it too high and say, this is not a problem we can ever solve. Here are 20 problems. So you have to come in and set those evaluations correctly. And by the way, the last thing where everybody will tell you is, oh, how are you doing doing evaluation? They'll say, oh, we do use LLMs as judges and they check our work. That in my own experience didn't work, almost never worked. So don't rely on AI to check AI's work. It doesn't work. You have to set these processes. Last thing, okay, you have a product, you have narrowed the scope, you have set the right evaluation, the quality is looking okay to release to 0.2% customers, and some customers are loving your thing. Now, how are you going to make money on it? By the way, if you're pricing things, do not just say token-based pricing or here is per token charges. Nobody understands. You have to figure out how those tokens convert into contracts or how they're paying today. And that's a logic that I want to see in your PRDs, or I want to build it if I'm building the product. So I want to see the customer value and that value-based pricing. And you have to bridge the gap between tokens consumed by AI to what the customer is willing to pay for. By the way, surprise, surprise, none of these things are working in production. So before you answer a risk question to a contract, there are 10 to 20 iterations that will fail inside that orchestration, which I showed you. How are you costing for that? Because you cannot just cost for best case scenario. You need to cost for everything that fails also. And there are 10x failures than successes before you reach a success. So how to put that? And last tip or last secret there is you have to start with free. Then you have to go with a price which is higher than lower. What I mean by that is consumers are buying agents at a higher price. Lower price strategy is not working in field because it just people think that they're paying a lot today for humans. And if they can get a high quality product where you are signing up to do end to end and you can price higher, that strategy is working. While cutting the price and not signing up to do less things is not working in field. This is Mahesh Secrets. By the way, I have a cohort that I teach. We just started. We are doing an AIPM interview bootcamp. And here are some resources that you can get. Somebody will put the link to this slide deck so you can get access to all these resources. I have a detailed slides also, but I want to stop here because at least I want to give you next good 30 minutes to do a Q&A, but wanted to just make sure that you get it. Here is a sample AI PID which covers all this. Here are the resources that I recommend you read or uh, follow to stay ahead in the AI curve. Here is our YouTube community link where we post every week a lesson like this. Here is our LinkedIn community. Here is our Slack community. And if you subscribe to that, we send you a newsletter every week where we talk about what's top of mind, what are the papers, where are the jobs, what should I do, all that. So just subscribe to that. That's it. Ahmed, back to you. Uh,
Okay. So first thing first, thanks for the quick explanation. We're gonna keep the Q&A for towards end of the session. We're gonna have like 30 minutes for everyone if you guys want to ask. Cool stuff like when I was there, watching what you were explaining, we always hear that like the AI agents, speaking about the AI agents, will replace, especially in the SaaS, it will replace SaaS. Do you think A, this will happen? B, if it will happen, how long will it take? Taking into consideration that you need some sort of learning curve for people to adapt to this using like everything through an agent or chatbot.
Yeah, I think if you look at just the user experience piece, so what we did is SaaS is an awesome thing. It changed a lot of things in our workflows, have added a lot of value to our economy. So, for an example, if you take the same contract, there are CLM systems, contract lifecycle management systems like Contract Pod, Ironclad. They work, but they work only for large enterprise because enabling them or bringing them to your production system is very hard. Why it's hard? Because they have these UI screens like Salesforce, and you have to adapt each one of them based on your own configuration. There's no sense of intelligence there. Now you bring agents and they can react on unstructured data, they can create plans, they can fail, they can check their work, and they can deploy again. This just allows a lot of startups or even those companies, incumbents, to do things faster, adapt to do use cases without putting a new workflow or putting an engineering team around them just to iron out that workflow. So I think that's the excitement in that area. The challenge still there is that reasoning is still weak on these models. It's not like working out of box. And there's a lot of plumbing you need to do to make it work. And that's where your second piece is that we will see a trajectory of these. I think where SaaS is working, it's very hard to replace it, but agents will fill the gap where it is didn't work ever, especially in like large enterprise to medium to small enterprises. That section will adapt it faster, and there will be new things. Like I wanted an agent which can follow my contracts. I sign contracts like 5 or 10, and nobody cares about me because I couldn't pay for it earlier. But hopefully with agents, this would be a new market, and there will be a lot of new market. And if we can mature these agents here in smaller or customer use cases, then I think we can reach enterprises eventually. And that's how people are seeing this disruption and talking about it, but nothing is getting disrupted this year, at least.
Mhm. And also, I want to touch on the pricing or monetization model. You mentioned that like tokenized based pricing model will not work, and I agree with this. And some people they might say, if I'm gonna build a business model, I have to do it either credit based or output based. We've seen some of the models, they charge based on your output. So if you have the output and you are, let's say, for example, it's meeting your expectation, I would pay for it. And the other
Yeah.
model is that you're charging credit based, which is like you're basically converting the tokens into credit. So when do you think like someone wants to build something have to use or decide between both?
Yeah, no, I think this is a very good question. So I think people are credit based is basically easy. This is the lazy pricing because I pay for tokens, I convert those tokens to credits, it works. And that's what people have done because people have not thought about pricing yet. Product managers have not thought a lot about pricing. We are just trying to enable features and just charge them what we are paying. and it's just a direct relationship here. So that's credit-based pricing. Outcome-based pricing is very interesting, but it's very hard to come up with. So there are a few rules to that. Outcome-based pricing is the idea is that, okay, you do want to do this contract, a lawyer will do it. Lawyer charges you 2 hours to review a contract. Per hour, they charge $250. So $500 per contract is what they charge. So how can agents do it? So we say, okay, you know what's our cost look like to run this? Seems like it's $5. Okay, then we want to charge it at 10x. That's the rule. So bare minimum, you want to charge 10x in AI. That's the rule we have been following. One day I can tell you why. But let's say it's uh, $50 you want to charge per contract now. But is it on the second side, you have this 1/100th of the human pricing. So if 500 was the cost, then you can't charge 50, you have to charge 5 again. So that's 5 to 50 is the cost that you are eating today. You are putting a bet on saying this 5 will reduce to 0.5, and then you will have $5 margins. Like that 10x will be true. But today you're seeing that there's not much scope for you to charge. So the rule of thumb to do outcome-based pricing is charge 10x of what the infra cost you are paying and charge 100x less than a human. So your customer has need not to even think about all the demerits, all the things. They can just say, okay, if Mahesh is going to do it with his contract agent, he's charging me $5. If I have to go to a human to get it done, it's 500. So I can have somebody review it. But if Mahesh can review it and then charge me $50, I'm happy to pay. So those are the kind of things people are, it's hard for every uh, industry to justify that. And that's why you have not seen that human-based or outcome-based pricing yet in effect. But I hope you will see more and more of that in next 6 months.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, to come up with like outcome price-based model is not easy, but it depends on the use case. Especially like there is one company, it's called Open, I guess. They're charging on the outcome. It's a full suite of customer support,
Yeah,
and charging based on the outcomes because they understand that they can do it. But if your model is still like in early phases, I guess it's hard to come up with such model. Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Uh, so let's
Zendesk does the same here in US, right? Zendesk charges like I think $1 for each customer resolved query.
mm,
So they can do that, and that's why it's easier for customers to just justify the payment because they are saying if they don't resolve any query, we are not paying anything.
yeah. And like speaking about AI, what do you think is, I would say, overhyped right now, and what is undervalued?
Uh, I think this idea that we can have like, and obviously these are my statements, and you can kill me after this. This is a hard question, but a very good question. This idea that we can have one godlike agent. People are talking about this world model, and we've been talking about world model for last 2 years. The idea of world model is that a model which can not only do search or language, because language is easy. Why language is easy? Because it's a sequence to sequence translations, but spatial understanding, where how we think, which is if you look around, you have seen these things and now you know how to interact with them just by looking at it once. We are trying to solve that spatial AI thing, and a lot of people have oversold that. I think it's much hyped. Means I said it when I was at Facebook in one of our Q&A to Jack. He didn't listen. He still built metaverse. So one of the reasons that I left was that means there are many actually. Obviously, AWS paid more than what I was getting. They were ready to give me double. So I was like, okay, that's a good enough reason. But at that time, Meta was going into metaverse and they were saying, no current AI, we'll just build this whole thing. And it's exponentially harder in the hardware space and exponentially harder in the spatial space. And I think people who are trying to sell those things are a little bit hyped. What's underhyped? I think this idea that you can actually do evaluations and just focus on evaluation as an AI product manager or as an AI company is very underhyped. People are talking about this whole hype that, you know what, we're doing this, then we will do this, then we will have robots working in your houses. But nobody's saying, hey, here's our roadmap. We're a boring company. We do evaluations. And here is how we evaluate. Here is how we will plan to evaluate. Here are the things we have set up for evaluations. I think we don't talk about a lot about evaluations, and it's one of the underhyped things, but uh, Arise is okay. Arise provides you a tool set, Anna, but they are not doing evaluations, and it's like bare minimum tool set, to be honest. You can get better tool sets from cloud providers, but that's one thing. Another is the UX of AI. I think is underhyped because what we have done is we have retrofitted what SaaS was, and now because behind the scenes what SaaS does is so easy, on top of it, so behind the scenes, we are using LLM, and our UX looks exactly like the SaaS apps look like, which I think is underhyped. I think we need more UX designers to actually build agent first UX, because here you're giving tasks to some way like you used to give to humans. And when we used to give to humans, we had things like comments, checkbacks, meetings. What that looks like for agents, we have not thought so. And I think it's super underhyped. People are
Mm.
thinking about that now, but I want to see more in taste, which is UX for agents, and then attention to detail, which is evaluation, rather than us just jumping ahead and saying we can build a world model and we can just automate everything and we'll just be on beaches shipping margaritas.
Yeah, speaking about eval, I was listening to one of the podcasts for Kevin Neal, AI CPO, yeah, Open AI CPO, and he touched on the AI eval that it has to be like number one skill for every PM. Would you like explain a little bit about like the eval so the audience would understand, especially who are interested in PM mode in AI, especially?
Yeah. So I think first of there are like three steps to eval. One is figuring out what is your human eval strategy, and what we talk about in the cohort or what we have done in our community where we talk free sessions. We have done like 3 series of evaluation, just specific evaluation specific sessions. And what we talk about is, okay, you want to build this AI solution. First, can you divide it into what is helpful agent looks like, what is a honest agent looks like, and what is a harmless? Because these are the three ingredients of good humans. And if agents are going to behave like what we do, which is much more unstructured, evolving things, then they need to be evaluated across these three dimensions, not just the dimension of accuracy or precision. So set accuracy and precision as your North Star metrics for evaluation, but then break it down into helpful, honest, and harmless. And then work with your subject matter expert to say what kind of response is helpful. Same contract example, a lawyer might say a helpful response has to be something that is succinct, that is backed by some kind of law, and I can validate it within 20 seconds. So now you have questions, which is, okay, is it succinct? Can I validate within 10 seconds as a user with a law or with specific, some kind of rule book that this is the right thing to do? Then a helpful response is when it is structured in the manner that I want it to be structured, and you can go on and on. So first figuring these questions out, and then setting your human subject matter expert to look at every response of your AI agent and mark it yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then you can come up with how helpful is your agent. And in the beginning, if it is 35%, you can say, maybe we should not release it. And then you should have a quality hill climbing from there, which you can say, okay, if it is 57%, I'm ready to release it to 5% of audience. And
Mhm.
here is my plan to get it to 70%. And then you talk to your customers, and then you talk to people who complain about your agent, and you will continue to evolve this helpful, because What is helpful today will not be every different contract type would come up with new helpful criterias. Every question, every new customer, every new country, every new jurisdiction will give you more in helpfulness. And that's why we are talking about a lot about this evaluation idea. And it's not something you set like you used to do unit testing and it's done once and then you're good. It's something that is very, very uh, evolving and stays in flux for a long time in AI. So evolving it with your customers. So that's your first set. Can you do this? And set the right helpfulness, honest, and harmless questions and set this for manual subject matter expert to evaluate, and publish. Then can you automate some part of it, which is like doing auto evaluations. These questions are very hard. And if it needs to be done on every response that your users are giving you, how can you actually go and use some kind of AI services to automate this is auto evaluation piece. And then you have to evaluate your each component, which is your planner comes up with the right plan. When you retrieve data, do you retrieve the right context? When you supply this context, are you providing the right tools, the context, the structured memory, or what has happened before this conversation to the LLM? All these also will have their own evaluation cycles. I know
Mhm.
I'm touching on it, but to take away, can you set up manual evaluations across these three dimensions? Can you plan to automate it? Can you divide your agent into components like planner component, knowledge component, memory component, and set evals for all of these independently? Is the process of setting evaluations in AI,
Okay.
agentic AI.
Yeah, so basically, like in short terms, and correct me if I'm wrong. So we're talking about like the output. The normal output is kind of deterministic, but with LLMs, it's it's deterministic. So you have to keep like evaluating your model, starting with human in the loop, and then automate as much as you can with it. Correct?
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome.
Ahmad, I want to say one thing. I have 10 more minutes, so we can put this in some way. My son is eating too many candies because I'm a bad parent and he need to get to a dental appointment.
So
So need to take him there. Uh,
let's finish this with
just
one
wanted to
question.
give you like, I can stay like 5 more minutes, so we have 15 good minutes, but
Yeah, yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
like just
Okay,
give a
okay.
context to you.
I'll ask one more question and we'll leave it up to the audience. Since we're talking about like the AI in BM, so we hear that AI BM is the hot title. So what is the simplest way to explain what that actually means?
Uh, I think it means different things, but an AI PM is where you're building on top of machine learning models, not logic, not rule based, but some kind of stochastic system which can answer questions, which can change the same answer, giving the same question, give different answers, and may or may not have correct answers, but still answers. So if you build on top of models, that's one of the ingredients. Uh, and you are learning a lot from the data and user behaviors and adapting the system almost on weekly basis is a new thing if you are an AIPM. That has not happened before to us. And then you are able to build something on intersection of what is the capabilities of models today, what is the expectations of your users today, and how much trust and safety can you bring in. So can you build it with trust and safety? Can you meet some part of the expectations correctly, and how much can you evolve this product based on data or user patterns in future? Those are the key things which were not true for non-PMs.
Awesome. So we have a couple of questions. Let's start with them to speed up the answers. So we have Dina asking, how due diligence done, and is it different from contract to another or organization to another?
Yeah, so due diligence is this process where you are just looking at all the contracts together. So let's say you're trying to buy a company, merger and acquisition, and you are trying to acquire a company. In that, what happens is first you have to get all their contracts and then see them in context. So for an example, you are looking at all their leasing agreements. And in some of them, you are looking at leases which will expire in next 2 months. And then you are doing the due diligence of finding out if they have to renew this lease, how much it's going to cost you. And if it is doubling or 3xing this because you signed this lease 10 years ago and now it will be double, your operating cost will be 10x more that you may not have thought or did the due diligence when you offered this company to buy. So that's the process, and you do it across different aspects. So you look at all leasing agreement in this case. You do the market research also. You combine this to come up with this insight that what is the cost today and how it would be in 3 months. Same you do with employment agreements. You say, okay, we are buying this company because of these 5 researchers, but in their employment agreement, nobody has signed them to stay with the company. Once we buy them, they're going to leave. So why would I buy, DeepMind if DeepMind researchers have the right to leave as soon as we pay them 15 million each? So those are the kind of things you do in due diligence, and you combine them and create this due diligence report, which requires you to not only think about what's in the contract, but requires you to see what's the market value of these things, and then come up with some kind of intelligent analysis and give recommendations, which is very hard for these models to do if you just rely on ChatGPT, because they need the market context, they need your company context, they need the buying company context. And that was my example, that if these models are going to get better and better, we can just continue to raise the floor. Because today we are doing risk analysis in a single contract. If they can start doing it, I can start doing due diligence across contracts with market research in that particular domain. If they can do it, I will figure out the next one.
Awesome. And there's a question from Hartmut. I guess we answered this. Could you please talk a little bit about how AI is changing product lead roles? We already asked this, answered this. Another question from Ashwini, I guess. Please suggest the best learning path for aspiring product managers in the AI space. If you were starting afresh, what would you learn first? Is AI BM even a right goal?
This is a very good question. I think it's the right role. First of all, let me just take it from the bottom. I think all of you should be looking at AI because most of the things that will be built in future, all will be the most interesting things for PMs to do, will require some kind of AI. Whether you will be using AI as a tool, or you will be building an AI tool, or you will be redefining the current ecosystem with something new in AI. So please learn it. We do a lot of free sessions to make it happen for you. So please continue joining them and please join. So that's number one. That's the only reason why I do all these things. So first, do that. Now, second is, okay, I want to become an AI PM. How can I do that? I would say first, start understanding the ML and AI concepts. Like basic, you need not to write code, but you need to understand how neural network works. There is a video we point to, this blue one, which we do in the course. It's open. They explain with visuals. I also have a video on our YouTube channel where I take a personal example and explain it. Just understand the basics of how neural network works, how RAG works, how fine tuning works, how these large, thank you, 3 blue and 1 brown is the link, but it's on the resources page also. But first understand that, then do a small project. Go ahead and build a very small AI powered product that you are the customer for. You can just build it for yourself and your friends, and you will see all the things which I'm talking about. Set the right evaluations for that. Try to build the right UX. Try to have these what secrets I shared in that. Once you have that, then work with data and see how can you use the customer data when they use their product to improve the quality of it. And once you have done it, you will start speaking the language of how AI PM talk, which is talking about evaluations, talking about this awesome taste or building the first UX. And eventually you would be where I am or any of these CPOs at OpenAI Ahmed is talking about. Believe me, they know less than you. They are mostly assistant to researchers, and nobody knows. The great thing is nobody has a huge lead here. If you wanted to be a good product manager and join Google, it was very hard because Google product managers are doing product management for the last 15 to 20 years. AI product management, man, I'm teaching for the last 2 years, and I've produced like 100 or not less than 1,000 AI PMs, right? And if you took total PMs who actually have done AI PM is in thousands. So can you just join now and build these things? And there is it's evolving every.
Yes.
There is a huge l- jump you can take every 3 months, and everything they learned is obsolete anyways. So now come and start. I think that's the best way.
Okay, so the last question, we're going to take it from Muhammad Ihab, and I promise we'll wrap up this session. So go ahead, Muhammad.
I appreciate that. So since a lot of the products that are getting built right now with AI are relatively built from scratch, so how to do properly the evaluations at this stage with the lack of the data? So I feel that the synthetic data is not sufficient. And even to launch an MVP to beta testers, you need at least some data first.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Mohammed, and I resonate with you. Do not rely on synthetic data to do your evaluation. So how we go about this is we hire subject matter experts. So if we take the same contract example, Mohammed, I will hire lawyers and I will make them write the right answers. If I'm doing key term extraction, I will give them 100 contract and say, tell me what are the key terms in master service agreements that are important. And then I will ask my models or my agent to say, here are contracts, tell me the key terms. And I will see how many times I'm finding the right values from my agent, which humans are telling me. And that's my accuracy of precision and recall numbers. And I will start there. And then I will repeat it for everything. Once I have the right key terms, I will say, hey, given these instructions, what will you extract from this contract as liability? And then I will compare it
For
with the
this
agent.
stage, what would be your benchmark? Like how many
Correct.
lawyers, how many contracts per lawyer for that
Correct.
case?
And then the second thing I will do is I will release it to 0.2% of my customers. I will set a very low bar for helpfulness, honest, and harmless. I will set it around 45-50%, which you can relatively reach with few iterations with your engineering. And once you reach that, I will release it to users. And then I will take their data and at least look 50% of their interactions and run it by the lawyers again and say, this is what the agent is saying. This is your helpful criteria. Please mark it yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then I will take where I didn't meet the criteria, filter it by all the no's, and then create a backward looking roadmap for my product saying, hey guys, seems like we are not answering these kind of helpful questions. We are only 20% here. Can we get to 50%? This will allow me to roll out to 2% of customers from point two. So setting that is the second step I would do. And then I will iterate from here. And this allows me to do it without collecting a lot of data upfront. And I continue to iterate in this journey. Obviously, it costs a lot because I have lawyers giving me this ground truth data first, and then I have lawyers evaluating it. But that's the cost we are talking about building AI products correctly rather than just wishing that whatever you release, your customers will love.
Makes sense. Is there a way to decide on the sample of lawyers and the number of contracts to begin with? Or
Yeah, that's a very good question again. So this is the first step you do after you have your problem solution. You have to narrow the focus, and that's where your market research come in. And I would say three things to consider in market research in AI. One is what is possible in AI. There's certain kind of contracts which are too complex for us to even read. Like you take Microsoft AWS cloud contract, it's a very complex contract. And if you check accuracy of that, maybe you are not prioritizing it. It's the most important contract, but it doesn't meet the current capabilities of AI model. So use that as a tenant when you're deciding. Second tenant is what the customers are using and what's the most prominent, frequently used, which is what you will do anyways, your PM skills. And third is where there is a possibility of growth going forward or what's the neglected areas. Use these three tenant to narrow your scope to the contract types. And once you have nailed that, just iterate on quality and then go to the next one as you scale your product.
thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Mahesh, last minute, I'll end it up with lightning round questions. Favorite product you have discovered recently?
Oh, that's a very good question. To be honest, I just love how these coding agents have come. So first 2 years we had nailed Q&A, and last 2 years we have nailing these coding agents, and I've been using V0 and Lovable a lot these days. I've stopped doing wireframing. I'm just doing like whole website as a whole front end as my first prototype. I don't build like Figma frames. I just go to them and are able to do a lot of things. So I think that's recent and cool these days for me, and I'm using them a lot. So I highly recommend you to check those out. Another thing I'm using is Gamma. Have you used that? So we wrote a lot of boring lessons. I write to Light. I came from AWS, so I was writing, and nobody wanted to read those lessons. So we used Gamma app, where I put all these lessons, and they give fancy slides. So I use that.
Gamma is
So-
great. I agree. So maybe you answered like the second question, which is favorite AI-based tool. Lovable, be it. We'll take this as an answer, and I suggest like people to use Lovable. It's really cool and fascinating how you get the outcome really fast with it.
And you know a lot, right? You know your competitor. You can just take a screenshot of your competitor website and say,
Right.
design it like this, and it goes and does all the work. And I'm like, okay, great. Never had an engineer who understood that fast.
Yes, I agree. I second that. Mahesh, thank you for joining us today. I know you are in rush. Thanks for the session, and hopefully we can have like another session in the near future to talk more about the AI, and I'm sure AI will evolve more and more. So maybe we're gonna have you again with us here in Product Focus.
No, thank you. Please join our community. We talk these things every Friday, and I'm happy I'm on this mission to help all of us and all of you. While I help you, you help me to stay on top of all these things. So thank you for the opportunity. I really love the initiative you are driving, Ahmed. That part of the world needs a lot of innovation, and I'm happy to be an agent or catalyst in your journey. So happy to help or do a series also of 3 things, maybe evaluation or anything top of mind for your community.
Surely, we're happy. It's better for us and for the audience. We're gonna share all the links, all the stuff with you after the session, and we have an announcement for the audience. If you want to stay for like 5 minutes, Mahesh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Ahmed. Bye. I need to run. Sorry.
Thank you.
Bye, team.
Thanks for our audience for joining us today. So we're gonna end up this with a quick announcement. So we are planning to, let me share my screen. Just give me a second. Can you see my screen? Okay, so we're announcing a workshop that will be on Saturday, 19th of July from 12 to 3 p.m. It's going to be a live online session. It's AI MPM. So basically, we're going to discuss and talk more about the agenda, which is mainly why AI, what is the prompt technique, what is RAG, workflows versus agent, when to use what, and the prototyping tools. We've been talking about Lovable. There are a lot of tools that we can quickly prototype using them, and with the 2025 model selection. So it's going to be a cool workshop for 3 hours. So if you guys want to sign up, I'm just going to put the link in here, and you can follow us as well on LinkedIn, where we're gonna announce this as well. So I'm gonna put the registration form for anyone who's interested for this session to join us.
Yeah, I already added it, Ahmed. Yeah.
Awesome.
But,
And hope to see you there again and again. Thanks for joining us today and taking the time. I know it's different timing zones for different people, so it means a lot for us to have you here, and hopefully we can connect again in the upcoming sessions. Please do feel free to join our community. We build a lot of cool stuff together. It's a community that was built for BMs. Now it's evolving for more than BMs. It's for builders, for founders. So we'll be happy to have you there as well. Thank you so much. And with that being said, we're gonna wrap this session. Thank you.